How's it going, YouTube? We're back with another match from Digifest. I believe this is round 2. Here are the players next to me. We had a Jesmon player whose deck is pretty blinged out, so shout out to this guy. He was also very nice to me, letting me borrow his charger so that my phone could not run out of battery. Honestly, both of his players were really nice, and I really enjoyed watching them. And I'm happy that I was able to record their match. His opponent is going to be a blue hybrid player. Gonna start off with the pretty quick chain into the Savior. As a Jesmon player, this is exactly what you want to see. And when you play against Jesmon, you're always scared that, like, if their first line is going to be, you know, rookie into the Jesmon, it's gonna spell disaster, right? That's part of what makes the Jesmon deck so powerful, is that their complete line is just incredibly powerful, and one good chain into Jesmon just wins games on its own. Looks like he does have the full Jesmon off the bat. Like I said, he does have the new fancy event pack to Jesmon, so pretty cool there. Honestly, this is terrifying, absolutely terrifying. From this position as the blue player, like, what are you supposed to do, right? Usually the Jesmon player might have to, like, you know, set up a Huckmon or two, find the pieces, set up Tamers, but the Jesmon player here, he had the full chain off the bat, so a pretty solid opening hand. Now there is no tie, right? So it's not gonna have extra security checks or anything like that. But that said, it's still pretty scary. There's also a world in which he doesn't have a Sistermon, since this is still so early into the game. In which case, the Jesmon would actually be kind of awkward. We'll see. Looks like he does have the sister. Gets the recovery, the restand. Man, Jesmon's going to be popping off. Sword Joe is a nice hit. Definitely, you know, Jesmon's not going to OTK this turn. So for the blue player, any sort of tamer or anything would be great. But from this position, it's just going to be tough, right? Tommy does show up, but, you know, the Jesmon has definitely done its work. Gonna end with a memory boost, find some pieces. In this case, the memory boost is like a bit worse than a tamer, because of the Madoki Betamon. You know, these blue hybrids are playing the watermelon, the clam, trying to just slow your opponent down, make it very awkward for them. Madoki Betamon definitely going to be putting in some work. Now the blue player can try and, you know, strip the sources from the Jesmon and try and keep it, you know, perma-stunned, if that's possible. Does have quite a bit of memory to work with, as well as double Tommy. Gonna use the Kumon first to make sure that the Jesmon has no sources, so that she can start the freeze on the Jesmon. Okay, looks like, did she forget to use the memory from the Pokemon? Okay, we're gonna see another Kumon. Okay, uses it now. So it's Pokemon is a mandatory effect. You can't choose when to use it. So she forgot to use it the first time, used it the second time. I guess, you know, it's technically like the same thing. But just so you guys are aware, Pokemon is mandatory, has to happen as soon as, you know, you Digivolve from a tamer. It's gonna get the Tommy and Herbal, gets the clear, hits into a War Greymon, pretty juicy one. I like the BT1 War Greymon, pretty solid card. Interesting that, you know, this Jesmon player is main decking it, not keeping it, you know, in the side deck. Hits another one. That's it's pretty funny. So okay, the Jesmon is stunned, as is the sister. So honestly, this is still winnable for blue hybrid. The fact that she was able to get double Tommy, and then, you know, one specifically on security, might have been just enough to keep her alive. It still seems a bit tough though. We're gonna see how the Jesmon player makes the comeback. Like I said, the red memory boost just kind of dead here, unless it's got a way to answer the Madoki Betamon, which seems kind of tough right now. He's got sisters. Could try and just build in the back again, try and make another Jesmon. Gonna go into the Bahawk. Bahawk, fantastic, you know, and Herbal is gonna be probably the best answer to these annoying rookies. Looks like he kind of missed a step. You know, a lot of players did this. It's funny because, you know, it's a tough tournament, and people make mistakes, right? Everybody makes mistakes, and sometimes it's a silly mistake like that. Even some of the best players did this when I was playing against them, so it's just funny to see. But obviously very, very understandable. You know, I think a lot of people, when they watch commentary or, you know, matches from tournament games, like, sometimes it's easy to just be at home and think like, oh, like, how could they ever make such a mistake, right? Like, I would never do that. The reality is, like, you're in an event like this, you're playing for, you know, a lot on the line. It's a big tournament. There's so many people there. Like, pressure definitely gets to people. You know, I'm sure you've been at a local with like no stakes whatsoever and you still make mistakes. Well, this is like it's like that, but on a bigger level, right? Okay, the blue hybrid player has a ton of memory to work with. Has Korikaku. Gonna probably, you know, try and keep the board stunned as much as possible. There's the Howlin'. And this is how the standard blue hybrid works, right? Just go all in on the stripping the sources and then maintaining the stun. Boko hits. I feel like everything that's swing security has died, right? Judgment of the Blade is actually quite a big deal. It's gonna allow the Jesmon player to have an easy swing over the Madoka Betamon. Although right now, we'll see what the blue player could do. Like, it's not quite lethal because of the sister mon providing, you know, blocker to the other one. So, you know, pretty good swing and security. The Judgment of the Blade, not only is it a pretty insane card in general just to like have access to as a Jesmon player, but the security effect is absolutely bonkers. So really, really strong hit. Honestly, Jesmon security been really strong this game. He had like 006, 7k, and then a good option, right? But this is tough because if the blue player now is not able to answer, like, you can sort of make the assumption that the Jesmon player is going to pop off next turn. Now, granted, he doesn't have a memory tamer, and you have to swing into the Madoki first before being able to dribble into Jesmon, so it would slow him down drastically. But, I mean, Savior could just swing at the Korikaku, Bow Hook effect to pop the Madoki Betamon, and then I feel like he's just in a good spot after that, right? He would just be chilling. Yeah, for sure. Just a clean trade using the effect. Very well played. Can also get the new Huckmon inheritable, right? Try and search for more sisters. Doesn't find any, but at this point, I think he's got all the sisters he possibly wants. At this point, I'm curious if he'll use the memory boost just to like use it while he still can. Don't want to wait for another Madoki. Now, the blue player does have double memory boost as well, and Tamer and Rookie in racing. So although the sisters are out there and they do have blocker, it's still scary because they could potentially be stunned. Although, you know, it's not a Tommy, so it's going to be a lot harder. You know, players just double checking that the correct memory has been passed over. With the Sorojo, it's quite a bit. All the stun, you know, is gone. And now, how can the blue hybrid player close the game out? Does have a lot of memory to work with, like a ton of memory to work with. Honestly, Beowulf, swing, bounce the sister. Seems like it would be the easiest. But Heartblade Strabi tells us that she doesn't quite have that and is instead going to be forced to look for pieces. Does have memory to spare though, so, you know, at least she could do that. I don't know if she found what she was looking for though, because like, Beowulf seems like it'd be the one out to this. And she might just not have it, right? Okay, gonna go back up to 6 memory. Davis, okay, yeah, just really looking for the pieces. Susano cannot be picked up, he's not a blue Digimon. Yeah, it's not what you want to see. At this point, she has spent 7 memory this turn to find pieces, but has not found what she wanted. And Impending Doom is definitely facing her, as at this point the Jesmon player has pretty much everything he ever wants. The fact that he was able to go, you know, first chain, solid Jesmon, and then still have the pieces to make a Jesmon on the following turn, pretty tough to deal with, honestly. His security was also pretty solid with the Blade of Judgment. So, you know, it's not too surprising to see the Jesmon that is likely to win this game here. I've actually not, you know, seen this game. It's my first time watching him, so it's pretty interesting. You guys get to see my first commentary at it as well. But I do expect that from this position, this should be game for Jesmon. Gonna try and be careful, make sure he doesn't, you know, check anything that could potentially ruin him. I mean, there is technically a Hammer Spark, right? Because he's only at 1. Get the swing, it's a Pokemon, and that's gonna be game 1 to the Jesmon. But yeah, like I was saying, like the power of Jesmon is that your full chain, your full line is like infinitely strong, right? It's a matter of like how consistent and how quick can you get to this chain. And hey, sometimes, you know, you just open the chain, and that's obviously pretty good. The more standard is like I was saying, like you gotta play a Huckmon or 2, get your pieces, maybe set up a memory tamer. But you know, well done from Jesmon. He definitely took advantage of that. Went all out with the sisters, and then he was able to bounce back from the stun by having the additional second Jesmon in the back. We're gonna see if they're gonna side or anything like that. Looks like we definitely see the blue hybrid player go into the side deck. I'm not sure exactly what the regular blue hybrid list would side against Jesmon. For me personally, you guys know my list is a little bit different. What I did is I sided in Rattlestars. My reasoning was that, you know, when Jesmon pops off, they definitely have like 2 or 3 Digimon, and I want to have something that can deal with Jesmon and security, right? Jesmon's going to be like 20,000 DP, so you want some sort of option that can deal with it. Or if for some reason, you know, turn passes and I'm not dead, you can potentially answer the Jesmon for, you know, a low play point cost. That said though, you know, I don't know what else would be great. And these standard blue hybrid, like Tommy build, is technically a bit more flexible than something like mine, because like I don't want to give up my Stravies, I don't want to give up my searches, my common pieces, things like that. But I feel like, you know, they already main deck with Ones and Clams. So like those are definitely interchangeable. Like in this matchup, for example, the Clam, he doesn't actually stop anything, right? So you can definitely take it out. But we'll see if any juicy tech cards come up in game 2. Game 1 going to the Jesmon player. Also, I like to say I like the mat from the blue hybrid player. I think they're on like a team, just like all the Banchos. I love Bancho Leomon. I'm kind of sad. I feel like Bandai kind of did Bancho Leomon dirty, because like he's in the game, but his card is not good, not even like remotely good. And I feel like he could have been like a big SR of a set. He's such a cool Digimon. I'm kind of sad that he was like just a rare and like a pretty bad one at that. But hey, who knows? Maybe in the future they'll make another Bancho Leomon. Okay, looks like we're gonna have the Jesmon player starting off. This time opening with the Gilmon. We'll see if he's got the full chain right away. He does once again have the Agunimon. I feel like his list plays a solid amount of Agunimons, and you know, I like this. I feel like having access to the hybrid to close the game out is pretty solid. Honestly, this is pretty similar start from game 1, with the blue hybrid having the Madoki and some Tamers, and Jesmon instantly goes into the Savior. That's not what you want to see when you're going up against Jesmon. And as I was saying, you can see he's got, you know, pre-release Saber Hooks, the Altar, Jesmons. Oh, is this a Kuyamon? Okay, so I actually know why Sakuyamon is in there. I don't want to spoil it though, but let's just say that you guys know that Sakuya is naturally very strong against Jesmon, right? Jesmon likes to hide in the back, and Sakuya is gonna, like, you know, sort of mitigate that by forcing Jesmon to come out and rendering him useless for that turn, and then you get a turn to then deal with the Jesmon. By the way, Jesmon, he did go straight into it. So again, pretty scary. But we'll see. He doesn't have a Memory Tamer. He might not have a sister. And with the Sora Joe, Tommy, and Davis set up, the blue player, you know, might have a great answer to the attack. Should have a sister. Yep, gets the restand. No other crazy effects. Howlin', not bad, honestly. Better than anything else at this point. Like, ooh, has a Judgment. Goodbye, Madoka Betamon. Yeah, but there's the second one coming back. This time he plays the other sister. I always confuse the name. I believe that one's Noir, right? Okay, gets the Pearson. I don't know if that was a like good enough use of the Judgment, but I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Like, just clear the body, get the Pearson, trying to pass nothing. He has to kind of just pass, and pass over quite a bit of memory. With the Sora Joe, put in blue hybrid at 5, access to the Howlin' Memory, has Tommy to work with as well. But you know, Jesmon definitely set up a pretty solid board. 4 Digimons, and Jesmon did its thing. And now we're gonna see if the blue hybrid player can respond. So, gonna start the stun right away. Can't stun the Jesmon just yet though, gotta strip him of all the sources. And that's where the Sora Joe is gonna be key for sure. But definitely not enough by itself. Maybe it's a combination of like Sora Joe and a Tommy or another Howlin'. Blue hybrid player down to 3 security, which is kind of spooky. Okay, so Tommy and Herald can freeze one of his sisters. Sora Joe does get rid of 2 sources. Swinging at security, red player thinking if he should block, and he does. Which is interesting. You know, doesn't want to take the damage. Knows that if Jesmon survives, you can just instantly get the sister back from the trash anyway, right? So just getting value out of the blocker. It also means that the Korikaku survives though, while in security, I mean, he might have died. 6k is like that iffy number. There you see the Shakomon, this is what I was talking about. I think this is why she runs the Sakurimon. So Shakomon just, you know, one of those, it's not a dual color Digimon, but it does count as a blue and yellow Digimon on the field. So you can Digivolve it into the Sakurimon, which is, you know, pretty good against Jesmon. And the idea there is that, you know, it's going to slow down the Jesmon, make it hard for him to get the combo off. And, you know, Sakurimon in general, or Shakomon, should be a solid Digimon against sort of like the board spam once Jesmon is out swinging and summoning Sistermons left and right. So once again, you know, the Jesmon did its job, but it wasn't like one of those, you know, going to Jesmon auto win the game. So we're going to see if he can once again build another one. But man, the Sora Joe just putting in so much work. The red players, you know, is getting memory choked. And now it definitely feels like this is the game for the blue hybrid player. Has so much memory to work with, can keep the stun on the Jesmon, rendering it useless. And just, you know, set up all this aggression. And it just has so much memory to work with. Like 5 memory from Sora Joe, Howlin' memory, Bokomon as well. Like she could be doing, you know, turns easily spending like upwards to 10 memory here basically, depending on how much she wants to pass over. Okay, there's a Tommy. Another Korikaku. This Tommy was played this turn though, so it cannot attack, but it might have just been for the freeze, right? Want to definitely keep the freeze going. And if she memory chokes the Jesmon enough and doesn't check into a tie in security, like it's going to be very, very tough for Jesmon to build up an additional Jesmon in the back. Just because it's essentially going to be like a 2-turn thing. It's going to go once into Saber and then another into Jesmon. And by the time that's happened, like you would expect that the blue hybrid could have, you know, closed out the game by then. It's just too much time to work with. Has Hammer Sparks to work with. Aqua Viper, not something you see every day, but it's going to be bouncing the Huckmon. I believe it bounces level 3s, right? And the Noir is a level 4 Digimon, so it can only bounce the Huckmon. Honestly, I'm not really sure if that's actually worth it, but maybe just a good way to keep board control and pass over with only 1 memory to spare. So I do like that. I don't hate it. He brings out the Greymon, which honestly, I don't know if I agree with this. Like, yeah, getting the when Digivolving Savior Hook effect is good. But now, like, you have to assume your Savior Huckmon is going to get stripped of the sources. And this is not going to be able to turn into an impactful Jesmon. Which means that he's going to have to once again start building from scratch in the back to get to that Jesmon. And again, I don't think he's going to have the time to do so. You know, the new sister giving you recovery +1 is cool. Yeah, you can see him here. He's letting me borrow the memory pack. So Jesmon player, thank you so much. Honestly, completely saving me, because like going to this event, like man, my phone battery is not that good, and some of these matches take a long time. You know, here in YouTube we're like speeding them up so you can go by quicker, but like this could have easily been like a 50+ minute match, right? So we can only record so many of them. There we do see the Beowulf. Beowulf, absolutely fantastic, such a powerful card. There's one of the players that are locals where I was teaching him the deck, you know, the Magna, and then I remember after one game he was like playing on stream and he came back and he was like, how could Bandai let Beowulf through? Like, who thought that guy was okay? And Beowulf is actually such a good Digimon card. Okay, blue player just has full control here, right? Infinite memory to work with, more or less. Can keep the stun going. As long as she, you know, doesn't let the Savior Huck just rock, she'll be okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you don't want to pass hidden into a Tamer and then let that Savior turn into a Jesmon. That would seem like a big mistake. But this might just be game right here. Must have the hybrid, yep, and that's GG. So I expect that, you know, she took the calculated risk knowing that if she had hit into a Tamer, she was going to be able to go for game. And if she didn't, you know, she might have had a contingency plan, some way to strip the Saber Hook of its sources and, you know, ensure that there is no Jesmon the next turn. So both games so far, we've seen the Jesmon player like be able to go into the Jesmon rather quickly. It just, you know, like the Jesmons have been solid as Jesmon is, but it hasn't been a like auto win Jesmon that you think about. You know, it's easier to think of Jesmon that has like the security +1 Greymon, the tie, that's like swinging for 3, restand, swing for 2, and then you just win the game. Like, Jesmon isn't always like that, right? You don't always get that perfect chain, you don't always have the Tamer. And in this case, the Jesmon came out It, you know, swung some of the sisters, but that alone was not enough to win the game, which honestly I think is good. It's you want to see this nice back and forth, and just because you Digivolve into a Jesmon doesn't mean you should automatically win the game, right? Okay, we're gonna see who's gonna start us off. This is game 3 now. Again, I believe this is round 2 in Digifest, Texas. Both of his players currently undefeated. Gonna be the blue hybrid player starting us off. I just want to point out, you know, not to like critique too harshly, but I don't like this use of Hammer Spark. Like, I prefer to use Hammer Spark when it's going to enable me to do a play that was otherwise not possible, rather than to just give my opponent one less to work with, if that makes sense. Because you don't always know exactly, you know, like, can your opponent do, like, how different is their play with one less memory, right? Like, they can adapt and do something else. It's hard to know the impact of that, while you know the impact of your Hammer Spark to help your play instead, if that makes sense. Like, if you're at 1 and you need 1 more to go into a hybrid, or you're at 3, you need 1 more to go into a Magna, something like that, right? Now, granted, there are cases where you use Hammer Spark to choke, and it's definitely the correct play. But in a case like this, I'm not a huge fan of it. I think holding a Hammer Spark could do a lot more in the future. Like, the red player wasn't really slowed down. He was still able to have a pretty solid turn overall. That said, this game he doesn't instantly have the Jesmon line, which I think is more standard. Like, this is what you expect to see in a Jesmon match. He does have the searches for it with the Hugmon and the red memory boost, trying to pick up the pieces. Maybe still not quite finding what he wants, picking up another Greymon instead. And this Hugmon, while doing his job searching, it's probably not going to be able to do too much else. Bokomon already out. You can already see the blue hybrid player can take advantage of that, going straight into the Korikaku, getting the memory back, freezing the Hugmon. And I wonder how aggressive she's going to go. You know, is it just like start swinging instantly? The Jesmon player does have the tie, but as long as the Madoka Bottom is out there, at least the red memory boost is not going to be too effective. Gonna just set up another Tamer. Okay, swinging with the Madoka Betamon, that's interesting. Dies to the Blitz Omni. I gotta say that's the best Blitz Omni alt art. This makes sense, right? Like, he's gonna play another Madoka Betamon, so might as well get one of them out there, get the 1 damage in there. I don't think there was anything that she could have hit in security there that would have been like completely awful. So I think that's a pretty solid play. You definitely want to like pressure the Jesmon player, right? Right now he's got 4 security, she has 4 attacks coming up, and potentially a hybrid, right? So already pretty solid. The sisters, while really good overall, just not amazing blockers, at least not against the blue hybrid, as they can be easily stunned, and then that way they can not attack and or block. So I wonder if like you just go for game. Looks like she might be thinking about it. Hits a savior. Honestly, hidden savior security is fine, because hey, that's one savior they don't have access to, right? Okay, gonna just keep swinging. There's another Blade of Judgment. Again, I was talking about how good this card is in security, and it is absolutely insane. Gonna bring out the excuse me, the other sister. Goes into a Kendo. Ooh, the BT4 Kendo. This is a pretty solid card, one that you often see in side decks for the blue hybrid decks. Honestly, pretty good, pretty decent. Gets the bounce, does 9 security as well. Boko swings. Hits another Judgment of the Blade. Wow. Kind of funny how that works out. He had triple Judgments. But honestly, at this point, he's got no security, right? So I would say the blue player did a good job of being aggressive, knowing that the Jesmon wasn't there. And you don't want to give the Jesmon like a bunch of time to work with. You want to pressure them and finish the game before they can find their sources. Because, you know, this Jesmon I was talking about before, you know, the, like not perfect Jesmon. This one does have the Greymon, it does have the tie. This is definitely a Jesmon that once it comes out, it could potentially just win the game on the spot. Red player does have to bring out the Greymon though. Might still be, you know, looking for pieces. Might just need the body to be able to swing into things, right? Like, Greymon has to clear that Stravimon. Gets the card draw from the Gilmon. Still a Watermelon to deal with. And Sora Joe means that he's definitely going to be passing over quite a bit of memory. A tough spot for Jesmon here. It's kind of funny how this works out, where, like, you know, both the other games he had the pieces right away, and this one he appears to be struggling. Looks like he does find a level 5 he was looking for. But now it's like kind of awkward because, like, sure, you have a Greymon, you can go into your Savior And in paper, you'd be like, oh, this is fine, right? Like I have my 5. Next turn, I'm going to through memory, going to Jesmon. But the reality is that like as soon as you put the level 5 out there in the field and it can be interacted with, then it could be potentially, you know, bounced, frozen, cleared, technically traded over, like. So it's kind of tough to say. It's risky, but it's like if you hold the Savior, you have to start building again from scratch in the back. And at this point, with no security, that might just be a little bit too slow. He does get the sister, picks up another Blanc. Gonna ensure that he has blockers to, you know, survive the onslaught. Blue Hybrid goes to 5 memory. But no Tommies means that it's, you know, a lot harder to get the stun on the sisters. And the thing here is that like even if you stun the sister, as long as she's on the board, she's gonna give everybody else blocker anyway, at least the other sisters. So like you can't just like, oh, I stunned the sister, swing for game, right? It's a bit more complicated than that. Honestly, this is quite the awkward turn for the blue hybrid player. Even though she only needs 1 more hit, there's actually just so many blockers that she's got to deal with. And on top of that, if she doesn't, you know, preemptively answer the Savior Hugmon, you can almost just say like Jesmon will win the game next turn no matter what, right? Tough turn here. Again, she does have memory to work with. Looks like no rookie, which is really unfortunate. When you're just at the stage where you're potentially just 1 hit away, like you want to have that rookie. Double hybrid, you know, again, it's not going to be lethal, so it's got to be some sort of other play. Okay, gonna swing. Not to the damage because you know it's going to get blocked, but I guess it's just to use the Sorjo to ensure that the Howlin can actually stun the Savior, prevent that Jesmon coming out, and then hard playing the Shakuamon card that I was talking about early on. It's a pretty good pick. It's going to keep her alive, giving everybody with no sources, which is pretty much the entire board, security attack -2, I believe. Honestly, pretty solid play. It does pass over so much memory, and she had to sacrifice the Madoka Betamon. So now the memory boost is live. So, you know, while a solid play, you know, explaining that he's going to have security manas, looks like the attack is not completed. But yeah, like while Shakuamon slows everything down and is likely the play she had to do, now the Jesmon player just has so much memory to work with, can build on the Tai himself thanks to the Agunimon. Has so much memory to work with. He does play the sister from the Savior. We know he should have the Jesmon, still has memory to work with. And now Jesmon can do its thing. Sure, this one doesn't have the Greymon or the Tai, but honestly, he just needed to like get the Shaku off the board, and we know he's got Judgment of the Blade, right? It's gonna swing at the Shaku. In this case, he says it doesn't have piercing, but he does. He did play the sister from the Savior effect, so slight misplay. He should have checked on security there. Okay, now Shaku's off the board. Everything can swing. Gonna start taking those attacks. Waits for sister to die so he can bring it back with the Jesmon. Tommy shows up just a little bit too late. And now, assuming there's no Hammer Spark, it's a matter of just swing, swing, swing. Everything is good to go. Like, there wasn't a lot of stun. It was just the security minus that was there. But there is no Hammer Spark. And just like that, the Jesmon player is going to take it. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed that match. Both of these players were really friendly. And I really enjoyed interacting with them. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more Digifest content.